Yesterday a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a jar, fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle again. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams, and words like "when you're older" must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return,
Can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round, circle game.
16 springs,
16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow, the circle's down. And the seasons,
they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can
only look behind from round and round and round, circle game.
So the years spin by, and now the boy is 20. Though his dreams have lost some grandeur coming true, there'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams, and plenty before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game, and go round and round and round in the circle game.
Good morning and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Looks like it might be one of those Sundays. It could be the whole month could be one of those Sundays, so just prepare ye, everyone. I am Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry, wrapping up my final month here as your minister. I know. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm joined today by Service Associate Claire Marie Wall. And today's music is provided by Tad and Emily Coriath. And I wanted to make a special note that this week was Tad's anniversary here at the fellowship. So he started in 2016. So thank you, Tad. It's been an incredible ministry of music that you've brought to us. Today's tech team, thank God for today's tech team, is Herb Axe, Mary Stackpole, and Kathy Partridge, with a special appearance from Deborah Mensch, who was supposed to be off today, but came back in when the tech board went blank during our rehearsal and everything just stopped. Smoke was actually coming out from the soundboard. So, we have a plan B. We do. And hopefully we will not need to use it. But if we do, we'll just make our way through, and it might take a couple of minutes of transition, especially I think for Zoomies, it might be a little glitchy. So bear with us, and we'll get through it. And let's settle in with our welcome words this morning. You are all welcome here. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes and sizes, gifts and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living, in all the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here. No matter how long you're away, nor how soon until you return, you are welcome here. And whether you come with laughter in your heart today or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join this congregation with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. We welcome you today. And as part of our welcome, we will be having a new member ceremony at the end of today's service. And because of that, there will be no joys and concerns. So if you do have something you wanted shared with the congregation, look for someone with a neighborhood connectors or lay pastoral care associate, what are they called, ribbons on their name tag. You can also, those of you on Zoom are going to get a link to the email laycarecoordinator@bvuuf.org for those who, and anyone can use that to share your concerns. If you are new here, we are so glad you found us and hope that even whether you're in person or on Zoom, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. We invite you back a few times to really get to know this congregation. There's many opportunities for connection during the week. Those on Zoom will be getting some links in the chat to help you get connected. And those of you here can go out to the welcome table or just talk it up at coffee hour and find out all the things we do here. And everyone is invited to stay for coffee hour, whether virtually on Zoom, there's a virtual coffee hour, or joining us in the fellowship. If you are joining us on Zoom this morning, please take a moment to say hello to people in the chat. And especially if you're new here, please let people know that you're a newcomer. And those of you in the sanctuary, take a moment to greet your neighbor, especially someone who might be new. Ooh, almost did it. Let's try that. Am I on? If you have a chalice at home, you can feel free to light it while we light our fellowship chalice. And everyone, please say the words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I will sing our bowl again, inviting it to draw you deeper into the present moment and the company of this, our beloved community. And after the sound of the bowl, we'll just settle in for a minute or so of silence.
Good morning. We have made it to January, the transitional month, named after the Roman god Janus, in American Janus, in British Janus, in Latin Janus. Ubiquitous on Roman coins, Janus is the two-headed god, looking back to the past and forward to the future. As Reverend Lydia prepares herself and us to move onward to a new chapter in the history of Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, this service provides an opportunity to look back at our years together and begin to imagine our future. Janus is the protector of gates, doors, thresholds, and separations through which we must walk. We are on that threshold. As individuals and as a community, we are trying not to trip as we go through.
There. Don't know if I'm ready to sing again, but I'm going to try my best. And of course, the resilience coach in me can't help but mention how rare it is that we get to feel everything that we're feeling about this time. And that you have created this sacred container for yourselves and for each other, to be seen, to be held, to let it all move.
As Gandalf said, who said tears are an evil? The Soul Matters theme for January 2024 is liberating love. It's a helpful topic in this challenging time. Among the provocative readings is this one from Reverend Darcy Lane, for whom Jesus' shocking words, love your neighbor, apply in situations large and love your neighbor and love your enemy. Thank you, Livia. Exactly as shocking as that. She quotes from Richard Rohr, who said, "Loving the enemy logically makes no sense, but soulfully it makes absolute sense. Because in terms of the soul, it really is all or nothing. Either we see the divine image in all created things, or we don't see it at all." Lane continues this way: "This kind of love is not necessarily affection nor desire, but a deep knowing that we are all interconnected. Despite our personalities, despite our politics, despite even hurtful actions, actions which we do not condone or accept. Stripped naked of all we have ever done or been, we are one. We are called to love one another as the early Universalists believed, that God loves us, unconditionally and without exception." Not much to ask in a polarizing election year, is it? Reverend Lila Ibrahim adds this useful exhortation as we walk forward into the new year with our new members and old. She said, "You are not in church to be with people who want to sing the same music." I don't know, maybe. "Or rally for the same cause, or attend the same retreat. We are in church to learn to love better. And learning to love better can only happen when we love past our disappointments and return to a place of acceptance and affirmation. This is true in our personal lives, in our work lives, and in our church lives. It is a deep spiritual practice."
We are in church, in this fellowship, to learn to love better, a deeply spiritual practice. It feels so fitting to be leaving this position that I've so dearly cherished during this month of liberating love. Especially now in this time of UUA history when we're putting love at the center in the new proposed articulation of our values, which will be voted on at General Assembly in June. Liberating love, this theme gives me a launching pad for reflecting upon our 16 and a half years together. This week I'll be looking at how we've unleashed more love within our congregation and in our UU community, the inner depth part of our mission, inner depth and outer focus. So first I'll reflect on what I've experienced as accomplishments, and then later in this service, I'll be sharing some of my I wish I hads, or even I wish you had. Next week, to honor the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, I will similarly explore our outer focus, our social justice ministries. And finally, on January 21st, we'll release my covenant and engage in a ritual of giving and receiving as our final act together. Religious educator Maria Harris wrote about the congregation as curriculum. That is, learning in congregational life isn't about taking a class or doing a particular thing. It is everything we do in congregational life can be a learning moment, a chance to reflect and to grow. So I certainly hope I have been part of liberating love in this congregation, both individually and collectively, as you have for me. Thank you. And this liberating love for me is freeing you and me from the obstacles that get in the way of us loving more fully. And my desire to be a part of liberating love is deeply theological. I don't believe in a personal God watching over me. My best articulation of God comes with just a few words: love and creativity. So I understand God, small g, the ultimate, the ineffable, as more of a verb, as an energy of love, an evolutionary flow towards each being's highest self and best self. Like the Tao, it's not something that can be known, but it is something we can align ourselves with and something we can deeply feel.
475.
My call to ministry is centered around supporting others to bring their best selves into the world. And nurturing a strong shared ministry has been my way to live into that call. Early in my ministry, I realized that if I were to keep all the creative energy, that juicy creative energy of leadership to myself, I would be keeping you from it. Keeping you from the capacity to discover new things about yourselves and denying the congregation of your gifts. So, looking at these past 16 years through the lens of liberating love, which is bringing everyone's fullness into the world by empowering them to risk to bring their gifts into the world, that's what I'll be doing. But first, a few words about change. The way I seek to understand and embrace change is as an adaptation to the current context and conditions, not necessarily as fixing something that was wrong. And that feels really important to me. And if my language comes out seeming different than that, please know that that's not my intent. Because in 2007, I inherited a strong, beautiful congregation from the Reverend Catherine Harris, who's now our minister emerita. You started this. So, and not only from Catherine, but from the many of you who were around then and are still in the pews now, as well as those stalwart leaders who remain in our memories. In 16 years, this congregation has changed. And it won't be the same congregation 16 years from now, or even a year from now. And that's wonderful. Keep changing. Keep adapting to what's needed. So what are some of the beautiful accomplishments in this shared ministry of liberating love? Of course, I could be here for hours. I've really tried to keep this short, but every edit made it longer, so apologies in advance for those of you who have plans after 11. So the most obvious and tangible, of course, is the building. What a feat. Look at this beautiful place we have for worship, fellowship, and community events. And what a journey of ups and downs and vision and resilience. From about 2017 to 2022, the capital campaign and the building project took an enormous amount of time and energy and resources, but it also brought this congregation together in amazing ways. So this building is a representation of something, but it's not the something. During that time, we stuck to our one congregational goal of staying connected. And it made all the difference in our being here now, vibrantly, in this new building, while also recovering together from the multiple traumas of the pandemic, a mass shooting in Boulder, a climate disaster in Louisville and Superior, the justified racial justice uprising following the horrific killing of George Floyd, Elijah McClain, and many other innocent black people, a national insurrection, the rising tide of hate crimes and hateful laws that erode the dignity of all people. Am I missing something? Probably. These have been incredibly trying times. And in the midst of it, we continue to have this hopeful vision to be a community that serves love and justice. There were so many lessons in generosity, vision, and pulling together for something bigger than any of us could imagine alone. Facing challenges, sticking together, working through differences, and growing many, many leaders in the process. Leaders who I have seen then bring what they have grown here and take it out into the world that so sorely needs our love and our healing. I want to remind you that the congregation clearly articulated that this building project was a vehicle for our vision of being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and not the end in itself. That's so important for me. And now that the building is complete and we're settled in, you will have the task of re-articulating that vision, honing in on understanding what a center for spiritual exploration and justice making means in these times, or if a completely new articulation is needed. That's going to be your task in the next few years. I'd like to speak about our relationship with the UU Church of Boulder and our collaborative Unitarian Universalism in general. It's another thing I just have seen so much shifting and growth in the past few years. When I arrived in Boulder in 2007, there was still a palpable rift between our congregation and the UU Church of Boulder. It was painful. I could feel it in the energy of this congregation. For those of you who don't know that history, we split from that congregation in 1979, and it was a rough split with many unresolved feelings and issues. In 2007, folks barely mentioned the church except for the occasional competitive dig about it. When I arrived, the only joint activity was an annual BVUUF UUCB summer picnic. It's the only one I remember. And it was our youth programs that began to build a stronger bridge between our two congregations. We started by sharing Coming of Age and OWL, which is our sexuality program, together with UUCB, and then ultimately shared a staff position of a youth coordinator. Then I began to offer services at Fraser Meadows with Reverend Howell Lind, who was their consulting minister at the time. And then this congregation was instrumental in supporting the UU Church of Boulder when it was a sanctuary for Ingrid Ancalada, an undocumented immigrant and friend to this congregation, while she lived at the UU Church of Boulder for many years. At the same time, the Longmont UUs began to gather regularly, and we built stronger ties with UUCB, becoming the root congregation supporting the founding of the Longmont UU Presence, or the Loop, which is now a recognized covenanted community within the UUA. What a beautiful thing. I am so proud that both of our congregations could get out of our narrow parochial view of Unitarian Universalism being one, just lifting, being about our congregation, and lifting our gaze to support Unitarian Universalism countywide in this new and innovative form. Talk about liberating love. There are now 3 distinct, strong communities through which folks can engage in Unitarian Universalism right here in Boulder County. That's so exciting to me. And I would have never imagined in 2007 that the consulting minister who is going to be coming following my tenure for half-time, starting in February, would be the wife of the senior minister at the UU Church of Boulder, and that the new music director at the UU Church of Boulder would be the wife of our director of music. So I will tell you that would have been unheard of even 10 years ago. And what does that do for this area to have all these options and these ways of learning and growing Unitarian Universalism together? I'm so grateful. Caring for one another. We've been known for our warmth, our hospitality, and our welcoming atmosphere, thanks to our member engagement committee, but also not just them. One committee, one council cannot create that kind of energy. It's you, how you interact with one another, the kind of love you bring into this space and that spills out into the world. We have grown our caring ministries as well, woven ourselves together more deeply. In 2009, I supervised my first intern, Dara Oland. Who remembers Dara? She was so lovely. And she transformed our caring committee into the neighborhood connectors, helping folks with logistics when times were tough, as well as creating neighborhood-based social events to build our connections, which were so instrumental during the pandemic. Yes, right? And this web of connections has grown stronger over the years. We now have lay pastoral care associates who create longer-term connections and companion people through hard times. We now have very strong end-of-life planning and discussion groups through our Thoughtful Endings group. And our visible organizing work around mental health, which I'll talk about next week at the organizing part. But what's happened internally is that we've opened up vulnerable conversations about mental illness in this congregation. And that is so beautiful that we can be this way with one another. I think it's why we can sit in here and cry right now. I've experienced our meeting check-ins and the joys and concerns deepening as folks revealed more about mental health issues and addictions in their own lives or that of people they love. It's a rare place when people can risk to make themselves vulnerable amidst hundreds of people at a time. When I think about us learning together, I think about the Service Associate Program and the joy and depth that it's brought to our Sunday services. Last week, I sat in the pews as Service Associates Shanti Samani and Eric Williams and musician Julie Morris shared with us an excellent service on letting go of what's no longer needed and tapping into our own heart's desire. Perfect for what I needed to do last week. And I thought to myself, they are in good hands. Amen. I have gotten so much satisfaction out of the deeply rich conversations I've had with over 100 service associates over these years, as we prepare each week for what we hope will be meaningful experience for the rest of the congregation. Together in these one-on-one conversations and with a variety, and in our group of service associates meeting, we wrestled with issues of justice, inclusion, theological difference, and how to bring ourselves into whatever topic was at hand. I've been deeply honored to have to have you all share this part of the sacred ministry with me. That is the curriculum happening within the congregation. And I could go on and on. The gifts have been so rich and so deep. But I'll stop here for now, knowing I've missed some important aspects of our precious time together. But I need to tell you, it's not the programs, the policy, or the building. that I will take or that have been gifts. It is a transformation of lives that happens here. And the gifts that we give each other in our shared ministry. Love isn't found in a policy or a program or bricks and mortars or in any one worship service. It emanates from people as your lives are transformed and you seek to bring your best selves into the world with the help of this beloved community. May you continue to do so. The world needs you.
Each week we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for Interfaith Network on Mental Illness, or INME. INME is a nationwide 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Boulder, Colorado. They are an interfaith organization that represents and welcomes participation from all faith traditions and affirms that spirituality is an important component of recovery from mental illness. Their mission is to increase awareness and understanding of mental illness among members of faith communities. They aim to help everyone, especially faith communities, to more effectively develop and nurture supportive environments for persons dealing with mental illness, as well as their families and friends. So you can text your donation at the number on the screen, yes, or if you're at the fellowship today, please pass a donation as the offering plate passes you. Please give generously. As our musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon and write into the chat, if you're on Zoom, your answer to this question. Where do you experience liberating love at the fellowship?
For the work of this fellowship and for the work of the Interfaith Network on Mental Illness, we dedicate our efforts and our offerings. As I begin this section on things I wish I'd done better, or things I wish we'd done or you'd done, I'm reminded of Nancy MacDonald Ladd's book called After the Good News, Progressive Faith Beyond Optimism, which I offered as an adult class here. And in it, she talks about the onward and upward optimism of Unitarian Universalism, and how sometimes that does not leave room theologically or in our culture, our shared culture, for faltering, challenges, and spiritual pain. She calls for more rituals of atonement, places where we can say, I wish I had, or I really messed up here. Places in congregational life where our human frailties can be acknowledged and even perhaps healed some through our community witness to one another. I agree with her. Perhaps it's my Catholic upbringing. But UUism has not had too much to say about a theology of sin. As a matter of fact, it's odd to even hear the word sin from the pulpit here. But if we understand sin as just simply being missing the mark, then there is a place for it here. And it looks like people at the UUA have taken Nancy MacDonald Ladd's words seriously. Because I was just on the UUA website and found this spray at the bookstore. It's called Shame Be Gone. And it's been a wonderful addition to the UUA bookstore gift item. So feel free, Shame Be Gone spray. Apparently, from what I read, just a couple of spritzes and you will be absolved of all your misguided efforts and inner turmoil. So I know, bring it on, right? So here goes. Here are some of my things that could use a little shame be gone. On the broadest scale, I wish I had noticed some of my own conflict-avoidant behavior sooner in particular moments, and I could have prevented harm to others. In recent years, I did not respond in a timely manner to a conflict that ultimately contributed to Jessica Lakeman's resignation, and also to the painful impacts of George Floyd's death within our congregation's Black, Indigenous, and people of color community. I know that my avoidance made things worse. And overall, while we've had some fine staff transitions here, we've also had some messy ones, and where I could have supervised and provided better process than I did. Claire Marie, could you please spritz me? That's better. I also wish I could have kept up with some of my spiritual offerings. My adult education classes, my monthly poetry reflections that were based on the themes, and the smattering of adult small group things that I did. I consciously took a hiatus from this work when we got into the fullness of the building project and never fully got back. And it was a part of my ministry that really fed me a lot and I believe fed you. It's another casualty of COVID I could chalk it up to, but I will miss offering opportunities for growth in small group settings, and I'm sorry I didn't make that a priority. And I know that I've hurt some of you with my words, forgetting sometimes that what comes out of a minister's mouth can sting more because of the power of the role. Over the years, some people have left because of it, and some people have stuck it out. And I'm particularly grateful for those of you who came to me over these many years and let me know when you have felt harmed by my words or my actions, so that we could do the work of repair. It doesn't happen when there isn't connection. Claire Marie, I could use a couple of spritzes for that one. Thank you. And here's some things that are beyond just me that I wish we had done, and I wish you had done. Now she's gonna watch out, people in the front row. I wish we'd had a smoother transition between settled religious education staff. Since Katie Covey's retirement in 2016, we had 2 years with Deanna Hoyle, 1 year with Ellen Saunders Duncan, 4 years with Jessica Lakeman, and now we are in our first year with Kitty Kalbarn, our acting director of children and youth programming. Within that time period, we moved out of our building and had a pandemic, which took a toll on families in a severe way. Moving out of our building meant that we changed the time of our services, which made it more difficult for families to attend. And then the pandemic, well, the pandemic. So I wish you'd been, or we'd all been, more attentive to the impact of those challenges on our families, and offered more of our volunteer efforts to that part of fellowship life. It's building up again now, thank goodness, but it really could have used more support. Anne-Marie. Claire Marie, sorry.
It's okay.
You want to spritz me for that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Related to that, I wish we had integrated children and families in better ways. Family life has changed in the past 15 years or more. And asking people with young kids to be deeply involved in leadership is getting harder and harder. But keeping families in mind when leaders make decisions remains important. And it's more than just having the kids come in and sit in the front. It's about developing intergenerational relationships, stepping up when asked to support programming so that those relationships can be built. It's about folks without kids joining in all ages activities, hanging out on the playground after services instead of maybe in the fellowship hall, so we can get to know our families and children. Oh, wow. That's all I have to say to you about that. I'm sure there's other things.
For all of the unspoken.
I was not expecting that. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I certainly wish it were that easy to be absolved of our missed opportunities and times that we've caused harm. In reality, repair takes awareness, courage, and effort. It takes us to risk being vulnerable with one another. These are attributes of this congregation, and I certainly hope you will continue to risk to do the repair that needs to happen when our covenants are broken. Looking ahead, people have been curious about what I'll be doing. I've made a commitment to have Sunday brunch at my house for the next 4 weeks in February, because I am really looking forward to not working on the weekends. I'm looking forward to more quiet evenings at home with my husband and friends, fewer emails to respond to, and engaging work consulting with other UU congregations. Sorrowfully, and this is hard, what won't be in my future is staying on any fellowship lists or engaged at all with your future, visiting with you for coffee or a walk, and there's no special friend exceptions, because that erodes the fabric of congregational life in this transition for you. And sorrowfully, there'll be no weddings, memorials, or rites of passage during this time. Your future, of course, is yours to create. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want you to take these parting words to heart. And I will be lurking, curious, of course, and I expect in awe about where you take this fellowship in the next chapter of its life. Blessed be.
I'd like to invite you to rise in body or in spirit so that we can sing together. Also, you might notice you need a little wiggle or a little self-pat or anything that you need in this moment. Please take it. For all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise. And what we're experiencing today is such an important opportunity for us to look back fearlessly and clearly so that we can move forward together. Our hymn is number 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. That's 128.
So I remembered a couple of things in the I wish I hads and I wish you hads. And I've got another week of preaching before my final Sunday, so stay tuned. We only have a couple of announcements. The first one is I hope to see many of you at the Good Goodbye celebration on Saturday, January 20th from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. It'll be here at the fellowship. There will be good music, good food, good storytelling, and much merriment at that celebration. maybe a few tears as well, but we really want to celebrate our time together. I really want us to celebrate our time together. So please find your Good Goodbye team members in Fellowship Hall. Apparently they will be, people will know who they are. Who are they? Good Goodbye team members. There's Wendy. Okay. Janet Meyer, Wendy Highsmith, Kathy Partridge on Zoom. Karen's announcement didn't end up here. All ages. Great. And also Karen Griglack wanted me to remind you that if you haven't started on a page for the memory book for me, please see her for one. Karen? She has all the supplies for you to make one today, so go see her over in Fellowship Hall. And gosh, no stress on, you draw me a squiggle or something if you want. Like, please don't get stressed out about a memory page, okay? It's easy. It's easy. Okay. And those are my announcements for today. So now, Janet, will it be extinguished? Janet, are you extinguishing the channel? Thank you. Next Saturday, January 13th, Tad and I are leading a live play shop with live music. So some of you may know that doing interplay, which is an embodied spirituality form, has been one of my spiritual practices for 25 years. And I've always wanted to do it with live music. And Tad and I are going to play around with that somehow. Yeah, it'll be a great experimental, fun event. So movement, storytelling, music, stillness. After play shop? Yes. Thank you. There will be wine and cheese afterwards because this was an auction item. So, oh gosh, another 20 days of remembering things like this. Thank you. Thank you. Now we will extinguish our chalice. Did I forget anything? I hope not. Okay. We'll extinguish our chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join hands or give yourself a hug, link arms, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. And following this, there's another beautiful piece of music, so don't go too far. Beloveds, what a gift it is to be together. May you take the love and the joy and the tenderness you have found here and bring it out into the world that needs love, joy, and tenderness. May it be so. Blessed be.